What is going on, y'all? Welcome to another edition of the Mission Ready Men briefing here on the SHR Media Network. Today is Tuesday, July 29th in the year of our Lord 2025. And it's good to be back with you. It's been a little hectic. Things have not been going as smoothly technology-wise and whatnot as I'd like, but we're here. We're here today, and the show is for those of us who fear God, love our country, and do not back down from a fight, because the battle we're in is not just political, it's spiritual. And we've got truth to expose because of that. We've got narratives to crush. And the fight for faith, family, and freedom does not take a day off. We got the wokies melting down. We got the American Pravda lying through its teeth as usual. But patriot warriors like you and me all across the country are stepping up and taking responsibility. And we're getting into all of it and then some. So make sure you're following Mission Ready Men on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X if you prefer. And if you want to wear the fight, go ahead and grab your gear at missionreadymen.com. Click Shop 7 Armors and check out all the great designs we have over there. All right, business is done. So let's get after it. We got a lot to get to. There's a lot that I had planned for some previous shows that just haven't really fallen out of the news cycle, but they're less relevant now. And this is something that I really wanted to talk about. But first, I want to acknowledge the victims of the shooting in New York City. I'm not going to get too deep into that, really. Sackhead Sean on the Edge of Liberty last night really did a deep dive into it with BZ. At this point, with no more facts than we had last night, or very, very few extra facts that we had from last night, I really don't have a whole lot to add to it. So if you want to check that out, check out the replay of the Edge of Liberty from last night, and you'll get some good insights from Sackhead Sean and BZ. But our thoughts and prayers are with the victims, and we just want to acknowledge that and let everyone know that we haven't forgotten the victims, and especially the New York City police officer who lost his life in that tragic incident. All right. For people who have been following me for any length of time, you may have noticed, you may not have noticed, but I don't generally get into a lot of racial politics. I don't, because people's races are, and I forget who I heard say this originally, but it's true. People's races are the least interesting thing about them. The fact that I'm a black man is the least interesting thing about me. And that's true for it. And we're going to get into some reasons why that is later on. But recently, some things have been popping up that I have to talk about it now, because it's gotten so out of hand. I have to talk about it. And one thing I wanted to start with to kick it off is it happened a few days ago. I was going to talk about it the last time we had a show scheduled, but technology was not my friend that day. But I wanted to talk about Hulk Hogan's passing. And he passed away on July 24th at the age of 71 of cardiac arrest. And the wrestling world, Trump, conservative media all paid tribute to to Hulk Hogan. I grew up watching wrestling. He was he was larger than life. He was wrestling for a very long time, and he paved the way for the guys like Stone Cold and The Rock and Mick Foley and Triple H and all the rest of them. And so fans like me and people who and even people who weren't necessarily wrestling fans, but Hulk Hogan transcended that. And so while normal people were mourning the passing of a legend, a wrestling legend, an American icon, some people were throwing a party in celebration, and it was sickening. And of course, I'm talking about so-called Black Twitter. They let loose with all kinds of mockery and memes and joy. And the big thing was his racist rant that he went on back in, I believe it was 2015, and it had to do with his daughter and somebody she was dating. And he had an apology tour basically, and he had this interview in ABC. I don't have it up right now, but where he explained what was going on. There was an incident between his daughter and the guy she was dating, and he didn't like it, and he was upset about it, and he was in a low period of his life, and he said some things he shouldn't have said, and he apologized for it, and but people couldn't let it go. I mean, he actually got let go from the WWE because of that. But we had people on Twitter talking about Satan's about to have his way with you, brother. Somebody said, Alexa, play Negro spirituals while we lower Hogan into the dirt. There were a meme of Hulk Hogan walking into hell with Chris Benoit or shaking hands with KKK. They called him a muscle-bound white supremacist mascot. I mean, it was just ridiculous. There was a Florida school board member, and Hulk Hogan was from Florida, who posted laughing emojis, and then had the nerve to say that it was flippant, I believe is the word she used. Well, it was a lot more than flippant, but it's just and it's, this isn't the first time the left has done this. Whenever a conservative, a prominent conservative passes away, they go into celebration mode. It happened with Rush Limbaugh. Just pick one, and they erupted with glee, and it's sick and it's evil. And just to flip the script for a second, if Hulk Hogan had been a flaming leftist and he said some things, even let's just leave the racist rant the same. If he had been a flaming leftist, what do you think the reaction from the left would be to his passing? I guarantee you they would be talking about healing and forgiveness and nuance or some such nonsense, because they demand empathy for people like George Floyd, who held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly, was a drug addict, and tried to pass off a counterfeit bill when he was trying to basically steal stuff from a store. They demand sympathy and empathy for somebody like that, but Oh, and Hamas. Let's not forget Hamas. They demand sympathy for Hamas. Hamas is oppressed and being uh, the Palestinians are being killed en masse by Israel. But Hulk Hogan, who took an exile from the spotlight for a long time after that, apologized profusely, gave his life to Jesus Christ, became a born again Christian, and by all accounts lived his life that way after he did that. Nothing. He gets no grace. He gets no grace. But Rush Limbaugh, Hulk Hogan, Antonin Scalia, all of these conservative icons, all of them get excoriated in death. But George Floyd gets several, several funerals, gets feted by all of the elites, and technology still seems to be not my friend. We'll see how that goes. Oh, this is awesome. Anyway, these people celebrate the criminals, celebrate the leftists who they believe deserve sympathy, like George Floyd and Hamas. But Rush Limbaugh and Antonin Scalia, they get canceled in death. It's really disgusting, and it goes deeper than wrestling. It wasn't just about Hogan. It wasn't just about his death. It was about race and grievance. For left, his death felt like revenge. It felt like a release. It felt like a final blow, so to speak, against a symbol of white American masculinity. All right, I gotta bear with me for a second. I gotta take care of this because this is annoying. I will be right back. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. Looks like I'm gonna have to replace that. Anyway, as I was saying, this was from the left's perspective, it felt like a blow against the symbol of white American masculinity. It was never about the big guy in a bandana. It was about what he represented, and they didn't like it. And the fact that he has passed on because they didn't like it is cause for them to celebrate. And this is a hello, Facebook user. If you want to get in on the chat, head over to YouTube, because the other chats that we have available to us, I can't see who you are and therefore can't really respond to you by name. But if you want to get on the chat, please hit us up on YouTube, and we'd love to hear from you there. But this is a really deep divide. This is a really deep divide, and we're going to get into that a little bit deeper, based on what we're seeing here in my new state of Arkansas. There's a group called Return to the Land, and they purchased about 160 acres, I believe, of land. And they have a goal of rebuilding Western Christian values. And they want to escape what they call the moral collapse of multiculturalism. They're right. They are right. Multiculturalism has been a big component of the moral collapse of this country. And they want to live free from what they call the cultural rot and racial resentment. Okay, I don't have a problem with this so far. And when you look at that through the lens of Black Twitter celebrating Hulk Hogan's death and other prominent conservatives' deaths, why wouldn't they want to do that? Why wouldn't they? And we're gonna get into it a little bit deeper coming up, but if the death of somebody like Hogan or anyone who they don't like, if the death of anyone they don't like brings celebration rather than mourning, rather than sympathy for the family of the person who passed away, how close are we to a national divorce? How close are we to becoming two separate nations? And so if you talk to somebody like the people at Return to the Land, I think I think what they're doing is trying to avoid something like that, but we're gonna get into that. You know what? We're gonna get into it right now, because this is a huge divide on for a long time. And I'm old enough to remember when we had pretty much gotten beyond any issues of race. By the time I was, I don't know, 16, maybe even before then, race was not something that was an issue. I grew up in a mostly white town. Most of my friends were white, and there was never any racial animosity. There was never any racial stereotyping or anything like that. We obviously acknowledged the differences, but there was no, we were all great friends. Most of us are still great friends. But America's the civil war that we seem to find ourselves on the brink of, I don't think, at least right now, I don't think, and I pray that it never gets to the point where it's fought with muskets. Right now, it's going to be fought with, it is being fought with maps. We have examples in Arkansas, in Georgia, in Louisiana, where Americans are redrawing the lines. But when white people do it, like Return to the Land, when they want autonomy, it's segregation. But when Black people do it, it's liberation. We had, back, I think, probably even further, but the first that I can recall was 2017, 2018, when we had a number of students on different college campuses clamoring for Black only dorms. I think Evergreen College was one. A couple of colleges up in Washington State were doing that, and now there's several, more than several, that have Black only dorms. And then we have these other secession type stories in Georgia and Arkansas, and even Louisiana. But let's the first one was Freedom, Georgia. And this was founded back in 2020. 19 Black families purchased about 97 acres of land, dubbing it a safe space from white violence. And this was in the wake of the Ahmaud Arbery case. They bought 97 acres. It's been expanded now to 500 acres. They want a Black only city. This was 2020. It's now 2025. They have no utilities, no homes, just dreams and GoFundMe campaigns. But the media, the leftist media, they celebrated this when it happened. Some people dubbed it Black Wall Street 2.0. And so then the question is, the obvious question is, if white folks had done this, would that be celebrated just as much, or would they be sued? Would they be investigated? Well, we know the answer to that, because Return to the Land, right here in Arkansas, founded by a couple of guys named Eric Orwell and Peter Cesare, bought 150 acres in Ravenden, Arkansas. And now they want to expand into Springfield, Missouri. Their membership, they call themselves a members only association, basically. And the membership is based on European ancestry. So Jews are excluded, Black people are excluded, Hispanics, only people who can demonstrate that they have European ancestry. And this was founded, I believe, in 2023. And there are 40 residents. They have cabins, they have schools, they have wells, they have infrastructure. Meanwhile, Freedom, Georgia is basically just a glorified 500-acre campground. Make of that what you will. But the Attorney General in Arkansas has opened an investigation into housing discrimination. But that didn't happen in Georgia. The people, the powers that be in Georgia didn't seem to have a problem with the Black folks going their separate ways. The Return to the Land group in Arkansas They're using the exact same logic that the people in Freedom, Georgia used. But one is being investigated as racist and civil rights violations. Seems to be a bit of a double standard. And it's really ridiculous. And let me just say, why would anyone care? I don't care. It may come as a shock to you, but I'm a black man. I don't care that a group of white people want to preserve their ancestry and their a way of life that they see fit. That's what this country was built on. You do you. But forced integration, which is what the Attorney General is trying to do. He's trying to say that it's illegal and they're going to have to let in blacks and Hispanics and whatnot. Forced integration got us into a lot of this mess in the first place. I said it. But that brings us to another example. I mentioned Louisiana. In April of 2024, the Louisiana Supreme Court approved St. George's independence from Baton Rouge. And they started this process because school quality was terrible. Tax revenue was being mismanaged. And the demographics of Baton Rouge, 54% black, 34% white. St. George, 70% white, 12% black. And the rest are Asian, Hispanic, and all the rest. And of course, critics are saying it's modern segregation, claiming that it's a tax haven for the white elite. But the reality is that these people just wanted to make sure that their tax dollars, the money that is being taken from them by the government, is being used properly. Are you seeing a pattern here? Self-determination is only seen as racist when one side does it. When one race does it. When the other races do it, no big deal. Why is that? It's a double standard, because when there's a black only when there's a black only enclave, it's empowerment. But if whites do it, it's white supremacy. It's segregation. Trying to separate yourselves from a dysfunctional government, from a dysfunctional society, is racism. Unless you're fleeing whiteness. If black folks separate from whiteness, well, then that's a whole different ballgame. And don't get it twisted. The left does not oppose. We've laid out the case. They don't oppose segregation. They just want to control who does it. They just want to control how it's done. They want gated ideological communities. They don't want a unified national identity. Which is why I think the only way this gets solved without a national divorce, without a cold civil war, which unfortunately would probably devolve into a hot civil war, is God's intervention. And the Bible speaks clearly about this. There is neither Jew nor Greek, all one in Christ Jesus in Galatians 3:28. Unity can't be based on skin color. It's got to be built in truth and character. And as Christians, we should reject both white nationalism, white separatism, or any race-based separatism dressed up as equality. Or equity, to use a more accurate term. The answer is not separate but equal. The answer isn't building walls. The answer isn't separation. The answer is coming back to God and restoring our hearts and ordering these communities under God. That's what's gonna solve this once and for all. The left loves to scream diversity, but then they celebrate building these tribal enclaves, these tribal fiefdoms. But the right, we get mocked for wanting functional, accountable government. Functional, accountable, limited government. And so, as with everything with the left, is it about what they say it's about, or is it about control? Well, we've talked about that many, many times, and you know my answer is it's always about control. But from my perspective as a Christian, we don't, and Christians in general are not about fighting to dominate or fighting to isolate or separate. We want to build what's good, build it together, and call out hypocrisy. And all of this, and even though I don't have a problem with the return to the land people in Arkansas or the Freedom Georgia people, I don't have a problem with anybody doing any of that. But it's all hypocritical, whether you come at it from the left or the right, black or white. All right, we took a little longer on that than I really wanted to. But I want to touch on this too, because there's another racial narrative that they're trying to write. And of course, they did it before any of the facts came in, and any additional facts. I mean, we saw some of it on video, and we're gonna get into it here in a second. But it's obviously, there's another viral video of a black man being arrested, and I'm talking about William McNeil Jr. He is the latest sainted motorist of the racial justice fame, who has been arrested. He filmed his arrest. And of course, it went viral. They broke his window. He got punched in the face. And on the strength of that video, the blacktivist civil rights lawyers all lined up trying to get their piece. And of course, once they got involved, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office had to set the record straight. And pardon me, thought I muted that, but I guess I didn't. My apologies. So let's get into this, because this is fascinating. And actually, you know what? Let's yeah, here we go. This is filmed by William McNeil, and on the strength of this, a lot of people fell for it. Brandon Tatum fell for it initially. A lot of pro law and order people fell for this hoax. Let's take a look. If I can get it right here. All right, here we go. So on the basis of that, that looks bad. That looks bad for these cops. It absolutely does. But of course, there's always another side to it. And he was calm in his footage. He was calm. He gets punched in the face through the window. He gets dragged out of the car. And of course, because of that 1 minute, everyone lost their minds. You don't see the weed that he had in his car. You don't see the knife on the floorboard. You don't see what led up to that. So let's take a look at what actually did into that, because it's interesting. Here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why I'm pulling you over. For one thing, inclement weather, you don't have your lights on. Two things, you're not wearing your seatbelt.
It's daylight. I don't need the lights. And it's not weather. It's not raining.
Oh, this is inclement.
It's not raining.
Okay, I'm not arguing with you. I'm telling you why I'm pulling you over. Give me your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance.
Call your supervisor. Why?
Excuse me?
Call your supervisor. Why did you pull me over?
735. I'm property driver. I've already told you.
Why did you pull me over?
Step out of the vehicle.
No.
Step out of the vehicle.
Now he told him multiple times why he pulled him over.
me over.
25, so 94. The driver just slammed the door and locked it.
Door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting.
So what happened? He shut the door, locked it, set up his recording so that he could film what happened next and maybe get a payday or something.
You are under arrest for resisting.
Can you unlock the door and step out? I will. Can you step out?
Because you don't even know the whole situation.
There's a traffic stop being conducted. You're required to comply. Huh? All right, go for it.
Exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle. Show me your hand. Here.
I'm here. What's your reason, sir? What is your reason? Step out now. All right.
And of course, we saw the rest of it. He was repeatedly told. He was repeatedly told to exit the vehicle. He was repeatedly told why he was being pulled over. Before it even got to the point where he set up his camera. If he had just complied, he could have been on his way. But no, he needed to he needed to get his viral moment, I guess. And he got it. He got it. But he ended up pleading guilty to resisting without violence, driving with a suspended license. So he probably wouldn't have let go anyway. Served a couple days in jail. And of course, now he's got Ben Crump and all the other Blacktivist lawyers circling the civil rights wagon around around this case. Because this is today's America. And if you get punched on camera, well, if you get punched on camera as the correct race, you just won the grievance lottery. But here's if you don't want to get punched in the face, if you don't want to get your car window broken, if you don't want to get dragged out of your car, then maybe just comply. Maybe just comply. Maybe don't lock yourself in your car and argue for 10 minutes and refuse orders from the police. This is just the politics of grievance, and I'm over it. I am over it at this point, and you should be too. You should be too, because this is not going to end well. Without God's intervention, this is not going to end well. And I believe that He will intervene. I'm just not sure how bad it's going to get before He does. And yeah, I mean, these grievance warriors, these Blacktivists, these civil rights lawyers, the race hustlers, and the only difference between a Blacktivist and the race hustlers is the Blacktivists haven't figured out how to make money from their Blacktivism yet. That's it. All right, let's wow. I talked for a long time. and I got a lot more to talk about. But let's get a word in from our sponsor real quick, and then we'll see if we can plow through the rest of this. And I may end up going overtime. We'll see. But right now, I want to get a word in from our sponsor, and our sponsor for today's show is Patriot Mobile. And your votes just aren't enough anymore. You need to make sure that your dollars go to companies that fight for what you believe in. And that's why we switched to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They don't just talk about values. They don't just talk about what they're about. They back it up. A portion of every dollar that you spend with them goes to pro-life, pro-family, pro-freedom, pro-liberty organizations. And right now you can get a free month of service when you go to patriotmobile.com and use promo code Jackson, or call 972-PATRIOT and use promo code Jackson. Defend freedom with every call and text you make every month. Switch to patriotmobile.com today. patriotmobile.com/Jackson or 972-PATRIOT. All right, y'all. I am Big E, and you are watching or listening to the Mission Ready Men Briefing here on the SHR Media Network, where you can catch Sackhead Sean with the Edge of Liberty every Monday and Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. The Reaver of Common Sense with Jersey Joe every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And BZ with the Berserk Bobcat Saloon every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Please like and subscribe to those shows. Like and subscribe to the SHR Media YouTube channel. Share all those guys' great shows. Pray for us that we have a huge breakthrough. We are just about at 600 subscribers, and it didn't take us any time compared to how long it took us to get to 500. So please share these shows, share the channel with everyone you know, so that we can reach as many people as possible. All right, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. And we're going to continue this discussion about race in this country. Our culture talks almost endlessly about race, but the Bible cuts through all of that. How many races do you think were created? How many races do you think God created? One race. All humans come from Adam and Eve. And then after the flood, Noah's family. Acts 17:26, from one man, he made every nation of men. There's no biblical basis for racial divisions. None. And now some people will say, we'll talk about the Tower of Babel in Genesis 11, where God confused everyone's languages and sent them scattered across the land. But that was their language. That wasn't their genetic makeup. People scatter and isolate and develop distinctive features, skin tone, cultural differences, things like that. But these are people groups. They're not separate races. The races as we see them today is a social construct. Skin color is just a matter of genetic variation of the melanin in people's skin. Racism is a violation of God's design. It's not just a social injustice. Genesis 1:27, God created man in his image. James 2, verse 9, if you show partiality, you are committing sin. 1 John 2:9, hating your brother is walking in darkness. And we already talked about Galatians 3:28, there's neither Jew nor Greek. You are all one in Christ Jesus. The salvation of Jesus Christ is for every tribe, every tongue, every nation. That's in Revelation 7:9. The early church was at its core multi-ethnic from the beginning. From the beginning. And the whole evolutionary thing introduced the myth of superior races. And that's been used to justify slavery, colonialism, even eugenics. A biblical worldview directly refutes this as a lie. One race, all of equal worth. And so, as Christians, we're not just supposed to reject racism, but actively oppose it and see people as God sees them and love them as God loves them. The gospel is what should be unifying everyone. We should model the unity, the unity of the gospel, and not the division of man. As I said, there is one race made in the image of God, and we all need the same here. The cultural categories, the racial, the social constructs are meaningless. Go back to, we need to go back to the scriptures and the Micah 6:8. Micah 6:8 is a perfect verse for this. Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. If you see your skin color as somehow superior to others, well, you're not walking humbly with your God. You're seeing yourself. You're worshiping your skin color. And that's a dangerous road. That's a dangerous road that only leads to destruction. So we're praying that we don't we don't go down that road. All right, I got about 7 minutes left, and maybe I will. There's a couple of things I wanted to get to. I don't know if I will. I don't know if the last one is worth going overtime for. But imagine this. Imagine a mob of white teenagers beating the snot out of a black couple in the street during a music festival. The reaction of the media there would be a mushroom cloud of reaction. But a mob of black thugs and 3 white victims caught on video, suddenly crickets. I have not seen this on CNN. I have not seen it on any of the American Pravda mainstream outlets. But it happened. It happened. in Cincinnati at a jazz festival. A guy gets jumped. A woman steps in, presumably his wife or girlfriend, not sure exactly. There hasn't been a lot of reporting on it. But the woman steps in, gets knocked out by some dude. She's probably out before she falls and hits the ground and then hits her head on the pavement. And one of the first posts I saw about it said that she was dead. I haven't seen any confirmation of that, but no one steps in. They're just filming it. It's demonic. It's really demonic. And I don't get this mentality that we have, or that people have these days, where the first thing you think about when you see something is to get out your phone and start filming. I remember years ago, I saw a Jeep run a red light and get smashed by a truck. And the driver was okay. The driver of the truck was okay. But the first thing I did was get out of my car and run to see if people were okay. Didn't even think about my phone until I was on my way home. I was like, wow. Because even this was years ago, and even back then, people were trying to just film everything. And it didn't even occur to me. And I don't get it. I really don't get it. But this is, yeah, let's take a look at this, because, and not only is it not being reported, the reporting that is out there is inaccurate, because most outlets will tell you that there were 2 people who were beaten, but there were 3. And I've seen the video of the other guy, and I haven't been able to find it again. But yeah, let's take a look at this, because this is insane.
Gonna do that. Yeah. Gonna do that. Yeah. Goldie. 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 Goldie.
This is sick.
Goldie. Like,
Yeah. Ooh, 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 ooh. I got that too.
That one right there is the one that didn't get a lot of publicity. And so I guess I did have it.
He shouldn't be outside.
But then there's the other guy.
gonna do that.
So you actually see,
Yeah.
so there's 3 guys right there that are getting beat up.
Goldie. Goldie. Goldie.
Just sick. And then I don't know if I actually have the video of the woman who's getting beat up. Yeah. I think this was it.
Goldie, no, Goldie. Goldie, let him go, Goldie.
No, that's not it. But there's another sorry, there's another video of a woman. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Things have gotten a little discombobulated here recently. I'm a little out of practice, as you can tell. But yeah, let's take a look at this video, this picture right here. This woman, she tried to intervene and got knocked out for her trouble. And this is the video I was talking about, where the first report I saw was that she died as a result of this blow, getting punched and then hitting her head on the concrete. A couple things about this. There's been no outrage, no coverage, no marches, because the victims in this case deserved it, apparently, or something. And before I this is why one of the reasons why we have the Second Amendment. I don't know what I don't know what these people's political persuasion is, but if they had been strapped, a lot of this probably could have been prevented. And I know there's rumors out there that one who was getting beat up got into a verbal altercation and allegedly started the whole thing. Even if that's true, even if he mouthed off to the wrong person, that does not justify what we saw. That does not justify the pummeling by a gang of people that we saw. Now, if you mouth off to somebody and you want to square up, I don't condone that, but okay, I can at least understand it. But if you mouth off and there's alcohol involved and you get punched as you're walking away, and then the entire mob just starts beating on you, there's no justification for that whatsoever. None. And if that's how you choose to take out your frustrations, well, then there's a serious problem. There's a serious problem. And I mean, this is part of a pattern. We got Freedom Georgia and Return to the Land, a black separatist group, a white separatist group. The white separatist group gets labeled a hate group. St. George, Louisiana, they want to leave a failing city because they want better schools and less crime. And they're racist because they want stability. Black Twitter celebrates when Hulk Hogan passes away. But this woman gets knocked out in a racially charged melee. Crickets. This is we have to look at these incidents in totality and realize that this is systemic hypocrisy. It's not systemic racism, it's systemic hypocrisy. The left wants to have this national conversation about race, but it's only going to be one-sided because they're going to mute your mic. Violence is, according to them, a symptom of injustice, but that's only true when it's politically useful. Otherwise, it's just an unfortunate altercation, an unfortunate incident. We have to. We've been calling it out. People like me and Sackhead Sean and BZ and others in the conservative space have been calling it out. But we gotta get louder. We gotta get louder because we're headed towards open tribal warfare, not healing. And so we got to get louder about calling it out. We got to get louder about bringing people back to God, who is the only one really who's going to be able to solve this with any sort of permanence. Because these people, the cowards in the American Pravda, the spineless weasels in office, the Muslims in some of these executive offices, mayor's offices, they want to see this. This is going to fit their narrative. This is going to fit their agenda. So we got to call this out, or get used to watching it repeatedly on a loop. That's it. That's it. And I pray that we actually come back to God and get this resolved, because I don't fear. I don't want to see what could happen if we don't get back to God on this. Anyway, folks, I did end up going a little overtime. So that's all I got for you right now. I will keep trying to make each episode better than the last one. If any of this hit home for you, if any of what I said hit home, please take a second to like and subscribe and share this video with everyone that you know, because I don't just want to opine. I'm trying to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and carry the banner of faith, freedom, and hope for future generations. And if you want some cool gear, head over to missionreadymen.com. Click Shop 7 Armors and check out all the great designs that we have over there about bold faith, true grit, and unapologetic patriotism. And as always, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.